The sound of metal scraping against metal pierced the quiet morning air. David Wilson's heart sank as he watched his ancient sedan's bumper connect with the gleaming red Ferrari parked at the curb. In that moment, his life would change forever, but not in the way he feared. If you've ever wondered whether honesty truly pays off in today's world, this story might just restore your faith in humanity. Like, subscribe, and join me on this incredible journey of how one man's integrity caught the attention of someone who could change everything. David stared at the small dent and scratch on the Ferrari's rear quarter panel, his hands trembling. The school drop-off line had been chaotic, as always. His 7-year-old daughter Emma had been running late, and in his rush to find parking, the unthinkable happened. Now, looking at the damage to a car worth more than his annual salary, David felt physically ill. "Daddy, we need to go. I'm already late," Emma called from the sidewalk, her backpack nearly as big as she was, her blonde pigtails bouncing with impatience. "Just a minute, sweetheart," David replied, his mind racing. No one had witnessed the accident. The parking lot was nearly empty now that the school bell had rung. He could simply drive away. Who would know? The thought lasted only a second before shame washed over him. That wasn't the example he wanted to set for Emma. That wasn't who he was. "Emma, come here," he called. "I need to write a note for the owner of this car." Emma trudged back, her small face scrunched with concern. "Are we in trouble?" David rummaged through his glove compartment for paper and a pen. "No, honey. But when we make a mistake, we own up to it. That's what good people do." With Emma watching, David wrote his note. "I accidentally hit your car this morning. I'm a single father and can't afford much, but I promise to make this right. Please call me so we can work something out." He added his phone number and name, then tucked the note under the Ferrari's windshield wiper. "Now we're really going to be late," Emma sighed. David knelt to her level. "Some things are more important than being on time. Honesty is one of them." What David didn't know was that from the second-floor window of the school building, someone had been watching the entire scene unfold. Michael Chin, CEO of Horizon Technologies, had just finished a meeting with the school's principal about a potential donation for their STEM program when movement in the parking lot caught his attention. He watched as David's car bumped his Ferrari, saw the man's moment of indecision, and then observed with growing interest as David wrote the note and carefully placed it on his windshield. "Is everything all right, Mr. Chen?" the principal asked, noticing his distraction. "I think I just witnessed something remarkable," Michael replied, his eyes still following David and Emma as they hurried toward the school entrance. Later that morning, David's phone rang while he was elbow-deep in an HVAC unit at the small repair company where he worked. 3 years after his wife's death from cancer, he was still struggling to balance his job as a maintenance technician with raising Emma alone. The medical bills had left him nearly bankrupt, and every month was a careful dance of paying just enough on each bill to keep the lights on and food on the table. "Hello?" he answered, wiping sweat from his brow. "Is this David Wilson?" a calm, authoritative voice asked. David's stomach clenched. "Yes, it is. This is Michael Chin. You left a note on my Ferrari this morning." David closed his eyes. "Mr. Chin, I'm so sorry about the damage. I know it's going to be expensive, but I promise I'll pay for everything. I might need to set up a payment plan if that's okay." There was a pause on the other end. "Actually, Mr. Wilson, I'd like to meet with you. Are you available for lunch today?" David glanced at his supervisor, who was already giving him the evil eye for taking a personal call. "I don't think I can get away for lunch, sir. I'm sorry." "I see. How about after work then? I'd really like to discuss this in person." Resigned to what would surely be an uncomfortable conversation about how much he owed, David agreed to meet Michael at a coffee shop near the school at 5:30, after he picked up Emma from after-school care. The rest of the day passed in a blur of anxiety. By the time David arrived at the coffee shop with Emma in tow, his nerves were frayed. He spotted an Asian man in an impeccable suit sitting alone at a corner table, somehow looking completely at ease despite the humble surroundings. "Mr. Chin?" David approached, extending his hand. I'm David Wilson. And this is my daughter Emma. Michael stood and shook David's hand firmly. Please call me Michael. And hello, Emma. It's very nice to meet you both. Emma, suddenly shy, half hid behind her father's leg. I'm sorry I had to bring her along. David apologized. I don't have anyone to watch her after school. Michael smiled warmly. Not a problem at all. Why don't we all sit down? I took the liberty of ordering some hot chocolate for Emma and coffee for us. David sat stiffly, waiting for the conversation to turn to the damage and the cost. Instead, Michael asked, How long have you been a single father, David? Surprised by the personal question, David hesitated before answering. About 3 years now. My wife, Sarah, passed away from ovarian cancer. Michael's expression softened. I'm very sorry to hear that. It must be challenging raising a child on your own. We manage, David said, though his tired eyes told a different story. About your car. Michael waved his hand dismissively. The car is already being repaired. That's not why I wanted to meet with you. David blinked in confusion. I don't understand. I saw what happened this morning. Michael explained. I was in the school building and watched from the window. I saw you hit my car, and I saw you write that note when you could have easily driven away. David felt his face flush with embarrassment. I would never do that. It wouldn't be right. Exactly. Michael nodded. And that's precisely why I wanted to meet you. Integrity like yours is rare, David. Especially when you're facing financial hardship. Emma, who had been quietly sipping her hot chocolate, suddenly piped up. Daddy says we have to do the right thing even when it's hard. That's what makes you a good person. Michael smiled at her. Your daddy is absolutely right, Emma. And that's a very important lesson. Turning back to David, Michael continued, I've been looking for someone to head up the maintenance department at my company's headquarters. The position requires technical skills, of course, but more importantly, it requires someone trustworthy, someone with integrity. Based on what I witnessed this morning, I believe you might be the right person for the job. David stared at him in disbelief. You want to offer me a job? Because I dented your Ferrari? Michael laughed. No, because you owned up to it when many wouldn't have. The position pays twice what you're making now, includes comprehensive benefits, and has regular hours that would allow you to be home with Emma every evening. David's mind reeled. This couldn't be happening. Things like this didn't happen to people like him. I don't know what to say. So you'll come in for a formal interview tomorrow, Michael suggested. Bring your resume, though I suspect your actions speak louder than any document could. Emma tugged at her father's sleeve. Daddy, does this mean you won't have to work on weekends anymore? The question nearly broke David's heart. How many soccer games and school events had he missed because he was picking up extra shifts? How many nights had Emma fallen asleep before he got home? I can't promise anything yet, sweetheart, he said carefully, not wanting to get her hopes up. Michael reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. Here's my direct number. The interview is just a formality, David. The job is yours if you want it. 2 weeks later, David started his new position at Horizon Technologies. The salary allowed him to move Emma to a safer neighborhood, closer to her school. The regular hours meant he could be there for breakfast every morning and dinner every night. The comprehensive health insurance was a weight lifted from his shoulders he hadn't even realized he'd been carrying. 6 months into his new job, David was thriving. His department ran efficiently, and Michael often stopped by to chat, sometimes even joining David for lunch in the company cafeteria. During one such lunch, David finally asked the question that had been nagging at him. Why did you really hire me, Michael? There must have been more qualified candidates. Michael set down his fork and considered the question. Technical skills can be taught, David. Character cannot. When I saw you write that note, knowing you couldn't afford the repairs, I recognized someone who does the right thing even when it costs them. That's the kind of person I want working for me. That's the kind of person I want to help succeed. David nodded, humbled by the response. I'm grateful for the opportunity. More than you know. It's not charity, Michael assured him. You've more than proven your worth to the company. In fact, I've been meaning to talk to you about taking on more responsibility. How would you feel about overseeing maintenance for all our regional offices? The promotion came with another substantial raise and occasional travel, but Michael made sure the schedule accommodated Emma's school calendar. By the time Emma entered high school, David had become one of Michael's most trusted executives, overseeing facilities management for the entire company. On the 5th anniversary of that fateful morning in the school parking lot, Michael invited David and Emma, now 12, to dinner at his home. As they sat on Michael's terrace overlooking the city lights, Emma asked, "Mr. Chen, do you still have that Ferrari my dad hit?" Michael laughed. "I do, actually. Would you like to see it?" He led them to his garage, where the red Ferrari gleamed under the lights, looking as pristine as ever. David approached it slowly, running his fingers lightly over the spot where the dent had been, now perfectly repaired with no sign of the damage. Sometimes the smallest actions reveal the most about a person's character, Michael said quietly. Your father's honesty that day changed both your lives, but it changed mine too. It reminded me that success isn't just about making money or building a business empire. It's about using your position to recognize and reward goodness when you find it. Emma looked up at her father with pride shining in her eyes. I'm glad you hit Mr. Chen's car, Daddy. Both men burst out laughing, the sound echoing in the cavernous garage. I wouldn't go that far, David chuckled. But I'm grateful for how things turned out. As they drove home that night, Emma already dozing in the passenger seat, David reflected on how completely his life had transformed because of one small act of honesty. From struggling single father to successful executive, from barely making ends meet to providing a comfortable life for his daughter, all because he'd chosen to do the right thing when no one was watching. Except someone had been watching. And that had made all the difference. Years later, when Emma graduated from college with honors, Michael Chen sat in the audience next to David, both men beaming with pride. After the ceremony, as they posed for photos, Emma hugged Michael tightly. Thank you for believing in my dad, she whispered. Michael smiled, his eyes meeting David's over Emma's shoulder. Your father taught me something important that day. That true character is revealed in the moments when we think no one is watching. I didn't change your father's life, Emma. He changed it himself, with one honest note. In a world where it often seems like cutting corners and taking shortcuts is the only way to get ahead, David Wilson's story reminds us that integrity still matters. One small act of honesty changed the trajectory of not just his life, but his daughter's future as well. And for Michael Chen, it reinforced his belief in looking beyond resumes and credentials to the heart of a person's character. Sometimes, the universe has a way of making sure honesty is rewarded, even if we never expect anyone to be watching. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that remind us of the power of human decency in an often challenging world.